What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Double A Hef here. Please like, subscribe, and share, comment, all that good stuff. This video is going to be short because this video is going to be pertaining to a comment that I got on my latest video about Maxine Waters leading sheep, or no, preparing sheep for slaughter. So if you haven't watched that video, watch that video. That way this video will make sense to you. But I'm going to give you a little bit of like a backstory. That way you can understand. But again, I do recommend you watch that video. That way you understand. Now, with that being said, I'm not sure if this person, Tazi Bizimungu, watched the whole video or not. But allow me to respond. Well, I already responded, but allow me to. I'm making this video that way I'm clear on what this channel is about, what it stands for, and all that. Okay, so the video yesterday was about the main theme was value, and I brought that up because, as I said in the video, I see many black people in general, but obviously the channel is, made for the quote unquote black man here in America. That's my main target demographic. I do understand that other demographics watch. The YouTube metrics tell me that. So, but nonetheless, when I make these videos, 99.9% of the time, the reason behind it is to help the quote unquote black man somehow. Okay, now, with that being the case, value was the theme of the last video. And I was pretty much giving examples of people that value their lives versus people that don't value their lives, and so on and so forth. This person, obviously, as you can see, it says, "This sounds like victim blaming to me. I didn't hear you say anything about white supremacy." Now, let me stop right there. And this is the main reason why I'm making this video. Well, white supremacy, I call it white rulership. That's what I call it. Because supremacy would be supreme, to be over, almost like naturally ordained over other things, to reign supreme. That's my definition of supremacy and supreme. And it's not one that I see fitting for people, let alone quote unquote white people. So I call it white rulership. Right now they are in rulership. They've been in rulership for several hundred years or so right now. And that's the reality of it. And with rulership comes perks. If we, the quote unquote black people, were in rulership, we would be the recipients of such, quirks and perks and stuff like that. But obviously we are not. So they are in rulership. We are not. He says, "This sounds like victim blaming to me." Now, in the video, I referenced, obviously, Dante Wright. Dante Wright, I said, if he valued his life, he would not have done what he did, and he probably would be alive today, or at the very least wouldn't have died that day the way that he died. You want to call that victim blaming? I don't think so. I think that if you bring something upon yourself, you can only blame yourself. For instance, if you are, you just went food shopping and you're trying to get all the bags from the car and you picked up all the goddamn bags, right? And let's say you tore a muscle in your arm. Who's to blame for that? You. Ultimately, you. Ultimately, you had a decision to make. You knew the risk involved with it and you still went along with it. You ultimately are the one to blame. You can't get mad at, your wife or your mother for going shopping and buying all that stuff. They didn't tell you to pick up all the bags at once. You decided to do that. Okay? Now you have to hold yourself accountable for your actions. That's not victim blaming. And we have to stop with this, this nonsense of victim blaming. Look, you bring shit upon yourself. That's the reality of it. Right, like right now, I have my truck. I got all my windows tinted. And in this state, you're not allowed to have the front windows tinted. Okay? So I'm responsible. I already know that. If a cop pulls me over, I brought that upon myself. Okay? And anything that comes from that interaction, I brought it upon myself. Whether it be a ticket or whether it be something a little bit more egregious, I would have brought it upon myself. Okay? It's called the root cause. All right? Once you address the root cause, you pretty much remedy that with the solution. And when you go talk about victim blaming and in a sense of, hey, you shouldn't do that, then what that says and what that means is you don't want to hold anyone accountable for their actions. And Mr. Tazi Bizmingo or Miss or Mrs. Tazi Bizmingo, that is not the information or energy that I'm promoting on this channel at all. At all. If you want something like that, there's hundreds, thousands of other YouTube channels that'll definitely cater to what you're looking for. But no, this channel here that I have, that I created and I'm growing, is for the quote unquote black man, and it's helping him by being honest, forthright, and truthful about the world and in the country that we live in over here in the United States. That's how we do it. We don't do it by fucking lying to them and telling them some bullshit like, oh no, that's victim blaming. No, what that is lack of accountability, okay? And no. On this channel, I'm going to hold everyone accountable. I'm going to obviously starting with myself accountable, because you can't hold anyone accountable if you're not holding yourself accountable. So I start with myself, I hold myself accountable, and then by extension, I hold everyone else accountable. And that needs to trickle down through the community. That way we can finally begin to make some fucking progress. People like this person, and no offense, to this person, I'm not trying to, combat you or come at you. It was just much easier for me to make this video, because that way, this is a learning experience. Whether this person, Tazi, wants to learn or not, whoever else watches this video that may have thought along the lines of Tazi will now know. Like, that is not the way we're supposed to go. As a man, no. Victim blaming sounds like you're trying to take the shame off the victim. And you know what? No, you need that shame. That's how you fucking learn and understand. And that's not what we're supposed to do. Victim blaming? Come on, man. Come on. Let's be serious for a moment. Like I stated already, that's trying to strip away accountability for what people's actions what people's actions were. And again, that's not what we're doing here. Okay? We have to hold ourselves accountable and those around us accountable. That's the problem with the black community as itself. There's no fucking checks and balances. No one holds anyone accountable. Everyone does whatever the fuck they want. But when you have these checks and balances, when everyone is governing their households relatively the same, because we all understand the same code and we get it, and we're all moving with a purpose to reach the same goal and controlling what we can control, then we can not we can then things will begin to grow. Okay, it's that accountability measures, and another reason for that is because obviously the black community, the quote unquote black community, is overrun by the matriarch. And no offense, but I know there's some women that aren't gonna like this, but I don't give a damn. Women do not like to take accountability for their actions. Period. Not all, but a hell of a lot do not like to take accountability for their actions. So you have all these homes run by women who obviously don't preach accountability because they don't even like to hold themselves accountable. So then, you have what we have. Just look around. For example, you see these women, oh, this nigga's trifling, yada, 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 all that shit, right? But you gotta understand something. You laid down with that trifling nigga, so what's that make you? But you'll never hear them say that, though. It's funny. It's the craziest part. They'll talk so much shit about the nigga that they got kids with, or one kid with, or the niggas that they got kids with. But it's like, yo, you realize that, you were, lock and step with those people every step of the way. Like you were with it. So something must be said about you as well. But again, that's the problem. You can't say shit to the quote unquote black woman now, because the quote unquote dominant society, the ruling class society, the people in powership have bigged up her head and put that big ass battery in her back, where now that she truly believes that she's better than the quote unquote black man. And it's not a discussion about better or worse. What the discussion is about is order. That's what it needs to come back to. Okay? That's just the reality of it. So going on. I didn't hear you say anything about white supremacy. You want to know why I didn't say anything about white supremacy and why you'll seldom hear me speak about white supremacy on this channel? It's because I preach oftentimes, if you ever listen to any of my videos, accountability, one, and second, you you have to understand reality. Okay? Let me break this down for you. Quote unquote white supremacy, which I call white rulership, is that it stems from this country being a quote unquote white country. Okay? Substitute America for white country. All right? So that's the reality of it. Quote unquote black people make up roughly 13%. Last time I checked, the number's been pretty stagnant for a while. Makes up roughly 13%. Right? Now we know women outnumber men. So out of that 13%, I would say probably about 6%. I could be wrong. 6% would be quote unquote black men, and another 7 to make up the 13 would be black women. Right? So just off those numbers alone, 6% of the population, black men, and men fight wars, right? Last time I checked, men fight wars. And even if we use the whole percentage to fight a war, then we could we could lose all 13%, and then we could be at zero, right? But anyway, so men fight wars, so 6% fight this race war, right? Because that's what a lot of these things be talking about. I had a comment the other day about a video I did on Umar, and shit was like, said something about me, and was like, you don't get it because you're not militant. First of all, that nigga Umar's not militant either, right? Look at that nigga. He ain't militant. He ain't no strategist. All right, if he was, he wouldn't be saying half the shit he's saying. So there's a facade of militancy, but you can't be sold on that bullshit. Okay, so one, is if you want to be quote unquote this new woke militant type, right? Then take the 6% of the black men. Well, actually, it'd probably be less because there's a lot of black men locked up. So let's take the 5% of black men, right? And then go fight that race war. Because last time I checked, I don't know how the hell you plan on usurping people's authority and taking their rulership, their power, without going to war. Because they're never going to wake up and say, we're tired of being in rulership. Here you go, blacks. You can have it. You can have it for the next couple hundred years. That's not how power works. When you have power, this is how the rules of power. Okay, you seek out more power, and you do not let up any of the power that you have. Again, you seek more. You want more. You're trying to build more power, gain more power. You're not trying to lose any power. People in power, they wish to stay in power. You've seen it in movies and TV shows all of your life. So this is very basic shit. Okay? So unless you're going to start a race war with 6% of the fucking population, then shut the fuck up, because you're not a solution-oriented thinker, and you're probably just not a thinker. You're just spewing fucking word salad out your fucking mouth. You got no real plan, no nothing. You don't understand shit. You don't understand simple mathematics. So now chime in back to here, okay? So I don't talk about white supremacy because that's something that is out of my control. I can't control that. It's too grand. Our people are too disconnected, too separated, okay? And too few. Too separated, too disconnected to do anything to change white supremacy. And again, quote unquote white supremacy. And again, they're not just going to go and say, tomorrow they're not just going to go out and relinquish all their fucking authority. That's not going to happen. Okay, if anything, tomorrow they're going to go out and try to take more authority. You know what I mean? And diminish what little power we have. Okay, so because we can't control that, I don't talk about that. I could talk about what the fuck we can control. We can't control our communities. First of all, we don't even own these fucking communities. We should start with that. First of all, no, we should start with the household. All right, own your fucking household first. Meaning, mother, father, and you own the house. Whether you own it outright or you're paying a mortgage for it. Yes, start with that. All right, and have your kids, in wedlock. Teach them morals and values the way that they're supposed to be, and not just fucking learning from the fucking streets. All right, be involved in your kid's life. Have a plan for your kid's life. And then obviously, if every household is doing that, then again, we could start taking another step. Okay, we could take a step into local economy. Our freaking athletes and our entertainers, what they could do, we could start holding them to the fire. because if we got the community buzzing already, then, we can get them replaced. And we have that power, that backing. If we're unified like that, then we can do more. Okay, so there's no reason to talk about white supremacy, something that you can't over fucking throw. But what you can talk about is how come the black man ain't leading the household. What you can talk about is how come all these babies being born to single parent mothers. What you can talk about is how welfare is a vicious ass cycle. And I've seen this shit, and I said this before multiple times. I've seen this all the time, even in my own family. I've seen it. Okay, it's a fucking cycle. A cycle perpetuated to keep the black man out the house. Now again, like I say all the time, half these niggas out here are a bunch of know nothings, but that's because they're part of the vicious cycle, the circle. All right, they were bred in that society where the mother, the quote unquote mother, resented the baby daddy, and then that energy trickled down to the son. And therefore, the son has no respect for authority, let alone the quote unquote black man. All right, that's why I don't talk about white supremacy here, because there's nothing that we can do about that. What we can do is make our lives better, make our children's lives better. That's what the fuck we can do. That's what the fuck we should be focusing on. All right, having our own economy, having our own schools, controlling the black dollar, controlling it. Every year we know the statistics, how much money the black community spends. We know how much money the quote-unquote black community generates on pop culture, sports, and entertainment alone. We understand all that, but what do we do about it? We don't do anything about it. Why? Because you got knuckleheads like this talking about victim blaming and fucking white supremacy. That's why. And that's another reason why I don't fucking go by the term black. That's why I say quote-unquote black. I say so-called black. I say stuff like that, quote-unquote white. Because when you just go with black, when you accept being called black, you intrinsically tie yourself to white, because that is a duality. Like left, right, up, down, north, south, east, west. They're dualities. They are forever linked, no matter what. So when you call yourself black, you forever link yourself to white. And then shit like this comes out of your mouth. I didn't hear you say anything about white supremacy, because there's nothing to be said about white supremacy. And especially if you're talking about the victim blaming that you brought up, quote, the alleged victim blaming, you gotta understand something. I don't know where white supremacy came into play when Dante Wright got killed. I don't know how that has anything to do with white supremacy. I really don't. I don't know what white supremacy has to do with Breonna Taylor getting killed. I don't know what it has to do with George Floyd getting killed, Eric Garner I don't know what it has to do with any of them getting killed. Now, if you want to make a discussion about the quote-unquote justice system, all right, we could talk about that. But even still, look, Dante Wright did some dumb shit and got killed for it. She didn't do it in the name of white supremacy. Okay? And then, well, obviously that court proceeding hasn't taken place yet. But all the other ones, if you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. So when, like, Eric Garner, he got choked out. He wanted to resist arrest. He knew he had a bad heart and all sorts of shit, but he still made a decision anyway. And then the cops get acquitted because their actions were deemed okay, considering the circumstances. And so now that's not white supremacy. That's, again, our people have to do a better job of holding themselves accountable and placing the right level of value on their own fucking life. But I wanted this video to be short, and it definitely went on too long. So let me wrap it up. Value is an intrinsic property, and the rules governing value are only accountable unto itself. No, that's not true. Value can be intrinsic. For instance, I value my life. Okay, I place a high price tag on my life. So yes, that's intrinsic. That's coming from within me. But for instance, the value of this video, to me, obviously there's intrinsic value to me. But to the billions of people that this video is exposed to, or that the billions of people that can click on this video, the value is going to vary. The value is going to vary. It's not the same, and it's not all intrinsic. The market dictates the value. The market does. For instance, this an iPhone. You think that's based off intrinsic value or the market value? This is market value. In relationships, you're 30 years old and you're single and you're a woman. You think Your value, your intrinsic value is going to match up with someone else's value? No. They equate you to the market. To the market. So no, value isn't just an intrinsic property. And the rules governing are accountable to itself. No, that's not true. That's not true. Because what happens when you and I is both looking at something and we have two different views on or understandings of the value of it, huh? Then what happens? So obviously it's not just intrinsic. There's other forces that work to create what we know as value and with certain items or certain people or certain things. Okay? So this person, I appreciate the view. I even appreciate the comment, because without this comment, I wouldn't have been able to make this video to educate people, to help people understand. But that's it, man.